All right, so now I want to do a video or start doing videos actually that have a bit more to deal with the medical field. So just wanted to give people like a heads up because sometimes they want to go into the medical field, they want to be a nurse or they want to be a radiology tech, and they have no idea on what type of things they're going to need to know. Do you need to be a genius to do these things, to be a doctor or to be a scientist or whatever? I think that you do have to have a certain level of aptitude, but talk to a doctor, talk to a nurse. I'm sure you all have friends who are, someone who works in the medical field, who knows someone who works in the medical field. And I can surely attest to you that not everyone is some genius, some egghead. Some people are just like me. I realized very early on that um, I did not learn the same way that other people did. Sitting in the classroom sometimes did not get it for me. Some classes I could sit in and I could be, and I could absorb it all. Some things like I needed the book. I didn't need the distraction of the teacher. Or maybe the teacher was just teaching in a way that didn't really work for me. Anyway, so a lot of my education as far as the medical field, like the medic certification, the radiology tech, I actually got that education while I was in the military. The military is great at training, but even then in the military, I still had to do a lot of studying. I had a great roommate while I was at good old Fort Sam Houston. His name was Huggies. That's what we called him because he was the youngest guy in our crew. But Huggies always made sure that like I didn't watch television. I'm one of those people. If I see something sharp and shiny, like woo. So if you're that way and you know you're that way, then like cut out everything. Okay, cut out anything that's going to be a distraction, that's going to be in the way of you and your goal. If it's video games, if it's women, if it's or men, depending on what you like. Not my thing, but if that's what you like, then hey, to each his own. Um, but I am one of those people that like I've mastered deprivation. So that, I will put myself in like a little cube and I will only come out, with the exception of work and food in the bathroom, once I've completed my work, towards my goal. Anyway, so if you know that about yourself, and know yourself well enough to know what does work for you, what doesn't work for you, what you do and you don't respond to. Some people. I have a brother. He is a freaking mechanical genius. He is like a born engineer. This dude can put together anything. He is so creative and mechanically inclined that he can create anything, like just out of thin air, just like that. But when it comes to taking tests, then he gets agitated. He has trouble with test taking, which is fine, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. But there are people that I know that they're geniuses at what they do, and there's no other way to put it. And you very well could be too. You just have to figure out what works the best for you. Anyway, so these books, all right. One of the books that you're gonna have to be introduced to is going to be microbiology. You're gonna have to take pharmacology. As an X-ray tech, I didn't have to take pharmacology because we're working with bones. Instead, we studied osteology, and osteology not only studies every single bone that's in the human body, all 206 to 208, because some people have extra bones, but it covers all of the different parts of the body. If there's a small hole in it, it's a nutrient foramen. There's a big hole at the base of your skull called a magna foramen. There's tuberosities, and there's all these different little quirks and parts of the bones, where it's round at, or where it has a rough part, or where it attaches to a tendon, or whatnot, or muscle, or whatever. Anyway, so first book, like algebra, basic high school algebra. Okay, that helped. When I went to X-ray tech school, actually uh, got that book from a friend, and I took it with me to help me, like, stay up on math, because I talked about in the previous video how it had been a while since I had actually gone to school, because I was split option. Anyway, another book, physics. Do not be intimidated by this. There's not some sort of super high level math that's involved with this. And then in radiology specifically, what you're going to deal with is radiation physics. And although it sounds really tough and hard, trust me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. If you're going to go into CT, which is computer tomography, you're going to need to know about this. This is sectional anatomy. And all CT is x-rays, but they basically take your whole body and turn your body into like this book. Imagine this book was Is As Tall As I Am, okay? And if this book was Is As Tall As I Am, what the CT machine does is it takes your whole body, and let's say it was also the same shape I am with me standing up, and it creates slices. And you can scroll down through to the slice. This is the part of the anatomy that you're looking at. That's why when you look at a CT, then you get images that are, this is, a side slice, but you get images like these, mainly with CT. This is usually what you're seeing. This is a section of the bone, a section of a person's spine, likely it's an axial cut of the lumbar spine, actually. I would have said cervical if I hadn't been paying attention. And that's all it is, okay? So, what's another one? This one is going to be your main book. Anatomy and Physiology, okay? Anatomy and Physiology is going to be your guide to the human body. If you got to take this class 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, until you get it and you have a good understanding, then, do so. Or if you want to just get the book and, you want to learn on your own, or you want to be ready before you go to college, then do so. Anatomy and Physiology you will usually take in 2 classes. If you're going to be a nurse, you're definitely going to take it in 2 classes. You'll take Anatomy and Physiology 1, and then you'll take Anatomy and Physiology 2. I think for a radiology tech, they only have to take Anatomy and Physiology 1, but they may have to take Anatomy and Physiology 2. It's been a very long time since I went to school for it as an x-ray tech. I did take both Anatomy and Physiology 1 and Anatomy and Physiology 2. Anatomy and Physiology 1 is challenging, but Anatomy and Physiology 2 is woo. So if you take the class and you're not just, teaching yourself and doing it on your own, make sure that you do not attempt to take it in a micro class. I took it in a compressed class, one of those classes that was only 5 weeks. But when I tell you that I was in tune and I had nothing else going on in my life, and I said I'm going to get through this, and the fact that I worked in radiology every day and had done so for the past, I think maybe 14 years at that time, that really helped, because we do these things called CEs, which is continuing education credits, CUs, that really helped me to stay up to date and not forget all of that stuff that I learned so long ago. Okay, this one I showed in a previous video, but it's also needed legal and ethical issues in medicine. That one is going to be extremely helpful. And if you're looking to go to radiation therapy, then it's going to be this book. And I think they only have like 2 books for radiation therapy. I may be wrong, and maybe somebody's come out with more, but as far as radiation therapy students go, it's going to be this book, and it's a pretty thick book. It is so filled with information that is going to be extremely helpful. I'm going to try to do another video that goes over some of the different roles in a radiology department, and maybe different roles in a healthcare environment. Also, Advances in healthcare organization theory. This is, more for people who are going to go the management route and who's going to work in healthcare management. But even if you're going to be a manager in healthcare, these are the things that you do want to have as a foundation, because a hospital cannot be ran like any other business. Sometimes things go wrong at the hospital, and you need to have the background to be able to know what is the technically correct thing to do to correct the problem. And you also want to be able to speak to patients and their family members and explain to them not only the process, but the risks involved, the corrective actions that can be taken. You don't want to be dealing with a problem in real time as it's actually going on, and then trying to learn right then at that moment what the best thing to do is. You want to already have a good foundation so that you can do what you can to help the people who need help. I hope this video finds you well, and if you guys have any more questions, then go ahead, send me a question down or comment at the bottom.